It began with a drought. Farmers in Lintong were digging for water, but they found an empire. The first strike of the shovel hit the head of a clay warrior. Beneath the earth, 8,000 silent guardians had been waiting for 2 millennia. Archaeologists were stunned. Every face was unique, a hyper-realistic army of individuals, frozen in time to protect their master. But as the warriors emerged, eyes turned to the horizon, to the massive, untouched burial mound of the emperor. The secret remained sealed. The discovery was just the outer perimeter. It was a warning and an invitation to the most dangerous excavation in history. The farmers sought water to save their crops. Instead, they unsealed a tomb that scientists would spend the next 50 years being too afraid to open. The Terracotta Army was a staggering find, but it was only the beginning. These soldiers were merely a perimeter. 8,000 silent guardians, standing at attention for 2 millennia. But they were encircling a much larger, more ominous secret. At the heart of the complex sits a 76-meter-tall mound, a man-made mountain concealing a palace that has never seen the light of day. The first emperor built an eternal city, a necropolis covering over 50 square kilometers, guarding his remains from the world of the living. Scientists realized the true scale of the emperor's ambition. He sought to rule even in death, hiding his legacy behind millions of tons of earth. The mound remains untouched, a silent monument to a man who conquered death with secrets we are now beginning to decode. The vision of Sima Qian. To understand the tomb, we must first look through the eyes of the man who described it. A century after the emperor's death, Sima Qian, the grand historian, wrote of a subterranean palace that defied the logic of the time, a work of unprecedented opulence and defensive complexity. He detailed a vast map of the world, where the heavens were pearls and the earth was mercury, a throne room built for an eternal reign. For generations, these words were seen as myth, a legend created to match the ego of a man who unified China through iron and blood. But modern science is beginning to prove that the grand historian wasn't just writing a story. He was documenting a toxic reality. The ink of Sima Qian has survived 2,000 years. Now we must decide if we are brave enough to follow where it leads. Inside the tomb, the first emperor didn't just build a palace. He recreated his entire world, an empire in miniature, frozen in time. The floor reportedly features a massive topographical map of ancient China. Every mountain range, every strategic pass, and every provincial border carved with surgical precision. But this wasn't just a static carving. Sima Qian describes mechanical systems that pumped liquid mercury to simulate the eternal flow of the Yangtze and Yellow rivers. Above this map, the ceiling was encrusted with pearls representing the stars and moon. The emperor lay at the exact center of his own artificial universe. Remote sensing has detected a high concentration of mercury in the soil mound above. The toxic signature matches the very rivers described in the ancient texts. The map exists, a 2,000-year-old masterpiece of geography and mechanics, guarding its borders with a tide of liquid poison. Sima Qian described a world where the great rivers of China were not made of water, but of shimmering, flowing silver. For centuries, historians dismissed these rivers of mercury as pure fantasy, a literary flourish designed to match the emperor's divine ego. He described mechanical systems and bronze gears that kept the toxic tide in constant motion, simulating the pulse of an empire that would never die. But modern soil analysis has revealed a terrifying truth. Mercury concentrations in the mound are 27 times higher than the surrounding Earth. We aren't looking at a legend anymore. We are looking at a pressurized chamber filled with 100 tons of liquid poison waiting for a single breath of air. The first emperor didn't just build a map. He built a masterpiece of engineering that remains lethal even 2,000 years later. For 2 millennia, the Mercury rivers were a ghost story. In 2016, the story became an undeniable fact. Geochemists took hundreds of soil samples from the tomb mound. They weren't looking for pottery shards. They were looking for a toxic fingerprint. The results were staggering. The distribution of mercury in the soil mound matches the major river systems of ancient China with surgical precision. Concentrations were recorded at 27 times the natural background levels. This isn't a geological fluke. It's a deliberate industrial-scale trap. The toxic signature is so strong it bleeds through 80 meters of earth. The emperor's rivers of poison are very much alive. Legend has been replaced by measurement. We now know the rivers are real. The question is, what else is waiting inside? The traps are lethal and the air is toxic. But there is a more fundamental barrier, the absolute weight of the earth itself. The tomb sits beneath 76 meters of rammed earth and soil. Millions of tons of pressure have rested on the subterranean palace for over 2,000 years. Excavation would require removing this weight. But this creates a structural stalemate. The mound that hides the tomb is also the primary force keeping its stone chambers from collapsing. Without the uniform pressure of the earth, the ancient stone arches and pillars inside the vault could buckle. One wrong shovel strike could cause a catastrophic, irreversible collapse. Our modern tools are powerful, but the emperor's city is too fragile for iron and steel. We are currently incapable of breaking the skin without destroying the heart. The mound is a living part of the tomb's defense, a mountain of earth that ensures the emperor remains buried permanently. Deep inside the sealed palace, archaeologists believe there is a hoard of treasure far more valuable than gold. The preserved organic history of ancient China. Silk, ivory, and documents that should have rotted away centuries ago may remain perfectly intact, protected by the tomb's stagnant, oxygen-free atmosphere. These materials are time capsules of the Qin dynasty. They hold the secrets of their laws, their literature, and their daily lives, all waiting in the silence of the vault. The lack of oxygen means the lack of decay. But this preservation is a fragile paradox. The environment that keeps them alive is the same one that prevents us from ever seeing them. To break the seal is to sign their death warrant. In the presence of modern air, these 2,000-year-old survivors would vanish in a heartbeat. We are faced with a choice. Leave the emperor's history whole in the darkness, or witness its destruction in the light. For now, the darkness is the only safe place. Section 14. Atmospheric decay. The emperor's greatest defense isn't a trap you can see, it's the very air we breathe. To an ancient artifact, oxygen is a poison. Inside the sealed tomb, the air is stagnant, humid, and oxygen depleted. This dark equilibrium has preserved silk and ivory for over 22 centuries. But the moment the seal is broken, the chemical shock begins. Modern oxygen triggers a rapid oxidation that turns organic structures into brittle dust in mere hours. Low humidity is the second killer. Without the ancient dampness of the vault, precious silks would shrink and curl, flaking away like burnt paper. Archaeologists describe this as a preservation wall. We can see the target, but we lack the technology to retrieve it without ensuring its total destruction. The first emperor's palace is a masterpiece of preservation. But it is a fragile truth that can only exist as long as it remains out of our reach. We imagine the Terracotta Army as a sea of gray stone, but history was originally painted in vibrant, impossible color. When the first soldiers were unearthed in the 1970s, they weren't gray. They were alive with pigment, pinks, purples, and reds that had survived in the dark for 2,000 years. Then the air hit them. Within 15 seconds, the moisture vanished, the paint curled, and the vibrant life of the Qin dynasty flaked away into dust. What we see today is a ghost of the original vision, a permanent gray reminder of the cost of curiosity. We didn't just unearth the army, we witnessed its second death. This tragedy is why the central tomb remains sealed. Archaeologists know that the treasures inside, silk, ivory, and documents, would not survive a single minute of modern air. The warriors stand as a warning. Their gray faces are a silent plea to leave the emperor in the darkness, where his world remains whole. The greatest threat to the emperor's tomb isn't a mechanical trap or a toxic river. It is the very air we breathe. For 2,200 years, these artifacts have existed in a stable, oxygen-free equilibrium, a time capsule where decay itself was locked outside the doors. But modern air is an artifact killer. The moment the seal is broken, oxygen and low humidity would trigger a chemical reaction that would turn silk and ivory to dust in hours. We've seen it before. When the warriors were first unearthed, their vibrant colors curled and flaked off within 15 seconds. We weren't just discovering history, we were destroying it. Until we can guarantee a 100% controlled atmosphere, the excavation is a scientific stalemate. To see the treasures is to ensure their total annihilation. The first emperor conquered the land, but science has forced us to accept a humbling rule. Some secrets are only preserved as long as they remain in the dark. Section 11. Manfish. Candles. A universe needs a sun. Inside the dark vault, The emperor's constellations were lit by a light that was never meant to go out. Historical texts describe candles made from the fat of manfish, a mysterious substance processed to burn longer than any oil known to the ancient world. Scientists believe these were not monsters, but creatures of the deep, likely whales or dugongs. Their high-density fat was the secret to the emperor's eternal day. Designed to burn in the low-oxygen environment of the sealed tomb, these candles provided a flickering, ghostly illumination for over 2,000 years. They were the final guardians of the emperor's image, casting long shadows across his mercury rivers and his silent clay army, light in a place of total death. Whether the flames still flicker today is a mystery, but the engineering of that light proves that Qin Shi Huang was determined to rule the darkness itself. The first emperor didn't just want to rule the land, he wanted to command the heavens themselves. His tomb was his universe. Sima Qian described a ceiling encrusted with pearls and precious gems, meticulously arranged to mirror the night sky as it appeared over 2,000 years ago. These were the heavenly constellations, the sun, moon, and stars, frozen in an eternal subterranean twilight above the emperor's final resting place. To the Qin, the universe was a mirror. By recreating the cosmos inside his tomb, Qin Shi Huang believed he could maintain his divine mandate for eternity. Modern researchers believe these pearls were likely lit by the eternal candles mentioned in the texts, creating a shimmering, ghostly glow that was never meant to be seen by living eyes. It is a cosmic vault guarding a man who believed he was a god, a sky that has remained in total darkness, waiting for a dawn that may never come. The first emperor didn't just rely on chemistry to guard his rest. He commissioned an army of mechanical sentinels. Sima Qian recorded that craftsmen were ordered to make crossbows and arrows, primed to shoot at anyone who dares to enter the underground palace. While wood would have rotted, the Qin were masters of bronze. If these trigger mechanisms were sealed in an oxygen-free vault, they could still be operational today. It is a layered defense, a mechanical reflex that has waited 2,000 years for a single tripwire to be touched, a silent, patient threat. The precision of the Qin military was legendary. In the pitch-black darkness of the tomb, these automated defenses would be as accurate as they were lethal. The first emperor engineered his own eternity. He made sure that even if the poison didn't kill you, his machines certainly would. The danger of the first emperor's tomb isn't just what you can see, it's the air itself, a pressurized lung of liquid poison. 2 millennia of evaporation have filled the sealed chamber with a dense, volatile mercury vapor. The tomb isn't just a grave, it's a pressurized toxic bomb. Breaking the seal would release a cloud of neurotoxins so concentrated that exposure would be immediate and fatal. It attacks the brain and the lungs in seconds. This is the emperor's most effective defender. It doesn't rot like wood or rust like iron. It is a silent chemical barrier that requires no maintenance. Scientists admit that even with modern technology, the risk of a leak is too high. A single breach could poison the entire archaeological team and the surrounding valley. Qin Shi Huang conquered his enemies with steel. He guards his rest with chemistry, a wall of poison that may never be climbed.